Right, we're watching What Actually Matters in Your 20s. It's Not What You Think by Mindflow.
Scrolling through Instagram,
Right.
seeing peers with dream jobs, exotic vacations, and picture perfect relationships, that familiar anxiety creeps in. Are you falling behind? The shocking truth is that what society glorifies about your 20s has almost nothing to do with what actually matters for long-term fulfillment and success. Most people chase visible markers of achievement while completely neglecting the invisible foundations that determine their future. Today, I'll show you exactly what to focus on in your 20s that nobody talks about, but everyone wishes they'd known. This isn't about
Alright.
grinding harder or living wilder. It's about the unsexy, high-leverage work that makes your 30s, 40s, and beyond truly legendary. 2 years ago, I was at a reunion with college friends. Everyone was sharing impressive updates, promotions, engagements, home ownership. When my turn came, I had nothing spectacular to report. I'd spent the year rebuilding my mental health, ending toxic friendships, and clarifying my values, all invisible work with zero status attached. That night, I felt like a failure. I created a mental scorecard of all the things I should have accomplished by 27 and beat myself up for every unchecked box. What I didn't realize then was that I'd fallen into what psychologists call narrative conformity, judging my life progress by a cultural script rather than by what would actually serve my long-term well-being. Let me tell you, the science behind this is fascinating. Research shows that your 20s aren't just an extended adolescence. They're a critical developmental period where your brain is undergoing its final major reorganization. During this time, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-regulation, is still being refined. This makes your 20s both incredibly malleable and consequential. What most people don't understand is that there's an invisible opportunity cost to chasing the wrong things during this pivotal decade. Every year spent optimizing for external validation is a year not spent building the internal foundations that actually determine your capacity for success and fulfillment later. Think about it this way. Would you rather spend your 20s constructing an impressive-looking house with structural problems beneath the surface, or building an unimpressive foundation that can eventually support a magnificent structure? Most people choose the former without realizing it. In a moment,
I think it's more important to build your foundation than anything. Because, like, the house can be, like, rebuilt as many times as you want. But you need a strong foundation for you to be able to start, like, for you to be able to keep going. Because a lot of people compare themselves of, like, what they have done, like, when they're, like, 25 to someone in their mid-20s. And there's just, like, there's a time for everything. So this guy's speaking facts, dude.
I'm going to share the 3 invisible investments that create exponential returns in your life, ones that nobody applauds you for in your 20s, but everyone envies you for by 35. But first, we need to understand the fundamental misconception that's costing an entire generation their potential. The core problem is that we've confused the markers of success with the makers of success. We chase the symbols, the title, the relationship status, the apartment, rather than developing the capacities that naturally produce these outcomes over time. This confusion creates what I call the early achievement paradox. The more desperately you chase external markers of success in your 20s, the more likely you are to make compromises that undermine your long-term trajectory. You take the prestigious job you hate, stay in the toxic relationship for status, or accumulate debt, maintaining an image you can't afford, all decisions that compound negatively over time. Let me be clear. I'm not saying achievements in your 20s don't matter. They absolutely can. But they must be byproducts of the right focus, not the focus itself. The right focus.
One of the things that if you're in your mid-20s that I think you should, like, focus on is pretty much going to a college that will give you, if you're going to college, not everyone's going to college, but if you are the people that are, like, going to college, your whole point of going to school is not to party. It's for you to actually get a degree and for you to actually be able to find a job. That's the whole point of going to college. But people, what they look for when they go to college is first if they have, like, a nightlife, and if anything, and if the school is good looking, or it will make them look good if they go to the school. That is completely the wrong reasons. For you, what you should be focusing on is, first of all, if it's financially, like, sustainable in the long run. Like, there's no reason for you to go to $100,000 a semester school because it doesn't make sense. There's no reason why you should be going $100,000 a semester when you can go to a community college. Might be a hot take, but I said go to community college for the first 2 years and then save money for the last 2 years, which is what matters. Because an algebra class will be the absolutely same. An algebra 1 class will be most likely the same, and it won't really matter towards your degree at all in Harvard and all the way down in, I don't know, your local community college. It will be the exact same math. There's no changing the math. But if you want to spend $50,000 and then get in debt for the same class just to have a different experience, then that's literally on you. There's no reason why you should be spending that much money just because you want to party. Like, there's no point with that. If your education is priority, then you should be looking at what the last 2 years, the ones that actually matter, are going to give you.
This is what I call identity capital.
Right focus.
The invisible assets you build within yourself that no one can take away and that appreciate over time. But what exactly should you be building instead? That's exactly what I'm about to show you. After studying the patterns of people who thrive not just in their 20s, but consistently through life, I've identified what I call the ICE method, 3 foundational elements that create exponential returns over time. I stands for identity formation. This is the process of discovering and solidifying who you actually are, separate from external expectations and cultural programming. C stands for capacity building. This involves developing your ability to produce value, manage complexity, and navigate uncertainty, skills that compound over decades. E stands for energy protection. This is about creating boundaries and systems that preserve your most precious resource, your physical, mental, and emotional energy.
Oh, yeah.
Most people's approach to their 20s fails dramatically in all 3 areas. Here's what it typically looks like.
A lot of people look at success if you have like a lot of money, but the way I look at it, if you have like $1 million, but you're pushing 300 pounds and you can't barely move, then that's not living. That's not success at all. If you're like a player that you get points, that you can upgrade like certain characteristics, if you put all your points on one, like attacking, for example, and you put on defending, then you will not be balanced. You will be like a amazing forward, but like a trash defender, or like stuff like that. People who play like NBA, like FIFA, stuff like that, they'll get this. You need to be like balanced for you to be able to be good while you play. You can't just be rich and be fat and be having heart attacks every 20 minutes. Doesn't make sense.
You graduate college and immediately optimize for salary or status. You take a job based primarily on how it sounds to others, not on whether it builds valuable skills or aligns with your authentic interests. You adopt the lifestyle and beliefs of your peer group without questioning them. You say yes to every opportunity and relationship out of FOMO, spreading yourself too thin to excel at anything. You ignore signs of burnout, pushing through with caffeine and weekend recovery. My friend, I know this pattern intimately because I lived it. In my early 20s, I took a prestigious consulting job that looked impressive, but taught me few transferable skills. I maintained friendships that drained me because they connected me to important people. I said yes to every project, networking event, and happy hour until I was running on empty. The result? By 28, I had an impressive resume, but low fulfillment, surface-level relationships, and chronic exhaustion. I was building a life that looked good, but felt terrible. What's your experience been with this tension between building what looks good versus what feels right? Have you felt the pressure to choose the prestigious path over the personally meaningful one? Or have you made choices that others questioned but felt deeply right to you? I am sure your insights will help others who are navigating this exact dilemma right now. The alternative approach requires courage because it often means making choices that others don't understand or validate in the short term. But this is precisely what makes it valuable. While everyone else is playing the same game, you're making moves that give you long-term asymmetric advantages. Let me walk you through exactly how to implement each component of the ICE method in your daily life. Starting with identity formation, the goal is to separate your authentic self from your conditioned self. This requires 3 specific practices. First, value excavation, identifying what genuinely matters to you versus what you've been taught should matter. Start by writing down your current goals and then asking why, 5 times for each one. This reveals whether the goal stems from internal values or external pressure. For example, when I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, 5 whys revealed that I wasn't actually interested in law. I wanted the respect and financial security I associated with the profession. This led me to look for ways to achieve those underlying needs that actually aligned with my interests. Second, controlled failure exposure, deliberately putting yourself in situations where you might fail, but the stakes are manageable.
first write down your goals because it helps you work towards them. Writing down like 5 goals will like actually put into perspective why you want to do certain things. And I think that is an amazing idea. The fact that you're able to like think about it and you're like talking to yourself mostly, like, why do I want this? It will put you in a position to like really think about every reason. Because if you're doing it for just for the money, just for the status, and that is not a good reason for you to follow a certain career path. And also, this guy talks about putting yourself in a situation where you might fail. That is an amazing thought, and I think you should 100% try to do that. Because if you put yourself in the position where you might fail, you will try a lot harder than when you know you're 100% going to get it. It is better for you to try to aim for like the stars and, you know, land the moon, than for you to like just like aim somewhere easy and end up actually making it. Like, there's no point of like going for something easy, because then you feel unfulfilled, because it was just anything that comes easy, it's not worth it. But everything that comes in hard, with like hard work, long hours, that 100% gives you a better feeling of when you do achieve that goal. So that's why you should try to do things that are hard with a small chance of actually succeeding.
I started small, taking a stand-up comedy class where bombing on stage was expected.
Yeah.
Learning to fail in a low-stakes environment made me more willing to take calculated risks in higher-stakes areas of life. Third, relationship inventory, systematically evaluating which relationships energize you versus which ones deplete you. This isn't about cutting people off, but about gaining clarity on where to invest your relational energy. Create a simple 2-column list with energy givers and energy takers. Review this quarterly and gradually shift your time toward relationships in the first column. This one practice alone can dramatically change your life trajectory. For capacity building, focus on developing these 3 meta skills that create compound returns. First, deep work capacity, your ability to focus intensely on challenging tasks without distraction. In an age of constant interruption, this is becoming a rare and valuable skill. Start with just 30 minutes of completely undistracted work daily. No phone, no email, no social media. Then gradually increase this by 15 minutes each week until you can sustain 2 to 3 hours of deep focus. This practice alone puts you ahead of 95% of your peers. Second, discomfort tolerance, your ability to stay engaged with difficult emotions and situations rather than avoiding them. This is perhaps the most underrated predictor of long-term success. Begin building this through small daily discomfort practices, cold showers, difficult conversations you've been avoiding, or reaching out to people you admire but feel intimidated by. What matters is not the specific discomfort, but your willingness to move toward it rather than away from it. Third, learning agility, your ability to rapidly acquire new skills and adapt to changing conditions. This is increasingly crucial in a world where specific knowledge quickly becomes obsolete. Develop this by adopting a skill sprint approach, dedicating 30 days to intensively learning one new skill that stretches you. This could be coding, public speaking, a new language, or financial modeling. The content matters less than the process of pushing through the difficult early phase of learning. My friend, I'm going to share a personal story about how these principles completely transformed my trajectory in just 3 years. But first, let's address the final and most neglected component of the ICE method, energy protection. For energy protection, implement these 3 systems. First, attention hygiene, ruthlessly eliminating inputs that create noise, comparison, or confusion in your life. This might mean deleting social media apps from your phone, using them only on desktop, creating a low information diet where you consume news just once per week, unsubscribing from every email newsletter that doesn't provide
comparison
consistent
is
value.
a thief of joy. There's no reason for you to
system
compare with
at
someone's
26 and reclaimed approximately
level
15
15 to
hours
your level
weekly,
1.
time I invested in deep work and relationship building instead. Second, recovery rhythm, establishing consistent patterns of rest and renewal before you need them. Most people wait until burnout to rest, which is like waiting until you're dehydrated to drink water. Design your ideal weekly recovery rhythm with one non-negotiable daily renewal practice. Could be meditation, exercise, reading. One midweek reset evening with no work or screens. One full weekend day for complete disconnection and rejuvenation. Third, decision minimization, reducing low-impact choices to free up mental energy.
When you do have a study schedule that this guy has talking about, for you to like wake up at the same time and then go to sleep at the same time, that just makes you feel way better, because after like 5 days you will wake up at the same time no matter what, because your body adapts to its environment let's say you go to sleep at 10 and then you aim to wake up at 6, you will constantly wake up at 6 every single day. Like the first few days it will be hard, honestly, because you're changing your sleep schedule. But after a few days, you will feel absolutely amazing. You will wake up with energy and you will just feel so much better about those 8 hours. But if you have like a very inconsistent sleep schedule, that's when your body like reacts to it like horribly, because it doesn't know when to wake up, it doesn't know when to go to sleep, and when you do wake up, it doesn't know if it should give you energy or if you're going to go back to sleep.
Decision fatigue silently erodes your capacity to make good choices about important things. Create systems that eliminate repetitive decisions, meal templates for different days of the week, capsule wardrobe with interchangeable pieces, automated savings and investments, morning and evening routines that run on autopilot. The power of this approach became clear in my own life when I hit 29. While many friends were experiencing burnout, relationship turmoil, or career confusion, I had built a strong sense of identity, valuable skills, and sustainable energy management. This wasn't because I was special, it was because I'd invested in the right foundations while they were busy maintaining appearances. I notice I'm feeling pulled toward this opportunity because of how it would look to others, not because it aligns with my actual values and direction. I need to pause and check whether this serves my long-term vision or just my short-term ego. This simple self-check, which I now use automatically, has saved me countless hours and thousands of dollars pursuing things that would have looked good but felt wrong. As you implement the ICE method, be aware of these 4 critical investments that most people in their 20s completely overlook. 1. Investing in psychological flexibility. Most people spend their 20s trying to figure out exactly who they are and what they want, creating rigid identities and plans that eventually become prisons. What they miss is that the most valuable skill is not certainty, but the ability to adapt and thrive amid uncertainty. In my mid-20s, I created an elaborate 5-year plan for my career, relationship, and location. When the company I worked for unexpectedly shut down, I initially panicked because reality had violated my plan. What I eventually realized was that the plan itself was the problem, not its disruption. The solution is to develop provisional rather than permanent identities, build skills, and pursue directions while remaining open to evolution. Ask, what am I curious about now? Rather than, what is my passion forever? This approach treats your 20s as exploration rather than declaration. 2. Investing in relationship depth over breadth. The pressure to network and maintain large social circles often leads to dozens of shallow connections rather than a few deep ones. Yet research consistently shows that quality, not quantity, of relationships determines well-being and even professional success over time. I spent years maintaining 500 plus LinkedIn connections and attending every industry event possible. Eventually, I realized I was investing enormous energy for minimal returns while neglecting the handful of relationships that actually provided genuine support and opportunity. The fix is simple but countercultural. Identify the 5 to 10 relationships that bring the most value to your life and career, then deliberately deepen these at the expense of maintaining superficial connections. 1 ally is worth 100 acquaintances. 3. Investing in process over outcomes. Most 20-somethings obsess over achievements and milestones while neglecting the systems and habits that actually produce results over time. They want the promotion without building the skills, the relationship without developing emotional intelligence, the body without consistent exercise. I fell into this trap repeatedly, setting ambitious goals without establishing the daily practices necessary to achieve them.
Yeah,
the result was a cycle of initial enthusiasm followed by inevitable disappointment. The solution is to reverse this focus completely. Identify the daily process that will eventually create your desired outcome. Then make that process, not the outcome, your primary focus. Fall in love with the routine rather than the result. 4. Investing in longer time horizons.
Most of the goals that people want to achieve, it's mostly about the process than the end goal. Because if you're hating the process to get to your end goal, then I don't think your end goal will be much different than the process. Because the whole process is what gets you to that end goal. So if you hate what you're doing, it's most likely you're going to hate like the feeling afterwards. You might feel accomplished, but you'll feel horrible the whole time that you're trying to get there.
Perhaps the most consequential mistake in your 20s is optimizing for immediate rewards rather than playing long-term games. In a culture of quarterly targets and instant gratification, the ability to make decisions with 5, 10, or 20-year horizons is increasingly rare and valuable. At 24, I turned down a higher-paying job to work at a smaller company where I could develop a broader skill set. The short-term cost was about $15,000 in annual salary. The long-term benefit was developing capabilities that eventually allowed me to earn 5 times that amount and have far more autonomy. The remedy is to regularly ask, what would my future self thank me for investing in right now? Then allocate at least 20% of your resources, time, money, energy to investments that may not pay off for years, but will eventually create exponential returns. When you focus on building your identity, capacity, and energy management in your 20s, when you prioritize the invisible inner work over visible outer achievements, you create a foundation that can support extraordinary results for decades to come. This isn't about delaying gratification entirely. It's about finding deeper satisfaction in development rather than display. As author Ryan Holiday puts it, the obstacle is the way. The challenges and discomforts you move toward rather than away from in your 20s become the very source of your advantages later in life.
Oh yeah.
I challenge you to choose just one element of the ICE method this week and take one small action to implement it. Maybe it's a 30-minute deep work session, a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or deleting a social media app that triggers comparison. Start small, but start now. I guarantee that even these initial steps will begin to shift your trajectory in powerful ways. Remember, in a world obsessed,
Just deleting like your social media for like a month will just completely like benefit you in the sense of like you will not be comparing yourself to anyone and you will feel happier, because a lot of people, what they post on like, let's say, Instagram or other social medias, is just pretty much a highlight of what's going on in their life. It's not really what happens day to day. Like they might be working every day and then one day they get off, or for 1 week they get vacation after working 70 hours a week. Like that's not really a good life, in my opinion. If you're working 80 hours a week and then get like 2 vacations a year, I don't know if that's really living, in personal opinion.
with looking successful, the true power move is becoming the kind of person who can't help but succeed over time, whether anyone is watching or not. If you found this approach valuable, this next video right here will take you even further. Your choice, your life. Start now.
Love your video, I really liked it. Shout out to Mindflow for creating amazing content. This guy is very good at what he does.